Assalamu alaikum, fam. Hope you're doing well. I just had some delicious wild caught halibut and some fried rice that I made and some nice organic cherry tomatoes. Alhamdulillah, it was a good meal. And I got some nice water. Been drinking a lot of water lately, alhamdulillah. Now, I want to talk to you about something that's very serious for the Muslim content creators on YouTube. And that is that you need to push your favorite dawah people to expand to BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, MeWe, Getter, Truth Social, DLive, Brighteon, all kinds of apps. And to create their own apps, to create their own websites where they can be found. And we really have to expand, and we cannot stay within the liberal framework of all these apps are created by white supremacists. Like, they say that so they can socially engineer you. The things that TikTok bans are common sense thought. TikTok should have been banned when Trump was in power. It is a destructive app, and it promotes degeneracy, inversion, and is a fitna of epic proportions upon children's minds. So I really want you to consider how you can get your favorite dawah people to expand so that if they ever get canceled by woke leftist atheists, secularists, that they will be able to reunite and still do dawah, the correct dawah and the authentic dawah. Because I notice the more I'm coming across these liberal Muslims, I as an American can see that they're gonna unleash the same type of pestilence that happened to the Christian community on the Muslim community, and it makes me quite sad, because one thing that I really love about Islam is how strict it is, how you're supposed to perfect yourself, how the lines aren't blurred of right and wrong. But if we allow the revisionists, the people who are ashamed of hadith, the people who are milkshakes, it really does feel like you could lose so much. And the masculinity in Islam is some of the best in the world, and we have to do our job to protect it. And the liberal women whom I've seen that are Muslims, they don't like it. They don't like what I love about the Islamic system concerning men and what they earn and what rights they're given and how they are honored. And this is how you know feminism is such a strong force, unfortunately. And the feminists are only growing in power and getting more censorious. They can only win through censorship, okay? They can only win by ripping out the tongue of anyone who opposes them. And they target your daughters, and they don't want your daughters to hear, or your wives, another perspective. I often ask myself, why did Allah allow me to be born in America around all this and have such a tough childhood and stuff like that? And I'm thinking, maybe it's because once I reverted, I could kind of just help people see that not everything that these liberal university brats promise you about their philosophy of woke feminism is gonna benefit you. That there is another way, okay? And that way is traditionalism and an Islamic conservatism that will preserve the family structure, gender roles, and help women to have healthy marriages, and to help us combat the legions of Iblis, right? And I notice that there's more and more crusades now upon sheikhs who do great work. And we're becoming kind of less focused on those who want to wipe out Islam is sometimes overly focused on each other, which it's interesting to hold ourselves accountable and have inter-dialogue. No problem with that. But I feel like we all could be doing more to kind of grow ourselves and create constant solutions and ideas and discussions on how to preserve the Muslim Ummah everywhere in the world. And we have to do that by creating content everywhere. Because if we only allow ourselves to be on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, these companies are run by secular liberal atheists who are disgusted by Islam. So why would we trust them at all? They will delete you like nothing. They don't care, right? They will lock you out of your account. They'll claim an error. They will do all kinds of things. They'll restrict your pages. The activists in those companies do many things to target their enemies. This is why Muslims have to get serious, and they cannot just be selfish, chasing the dunya, cars, status, whatever, and instead focus on how we can be a vanguard for each other, how we can maintain each other, and how we can outlast them and constantly solidify ourselves. And we cannot just hide behind our favorite content creators because they'll be easily kicked off as well. And you have to have someone to fill the vacuum. Instead of having 5 champions, you have a legion of champions, right? And since liberal feminist women seek to destroy masculinity, we have to have more sisters openly endorse masculinity. And any liberal Muslimah who denies that men are under attack should be shown evidence, should be questioned, and should have an intervention, right? If you have a sister in person who's spouting liberal feminist talking points, there should be an intervention with a very good sheikh. There should be people who reason with her. And we need to create more and more pamphlets, more and more meetings offline to really show how their ideology is inferior and indeed will lead women to an unhappy lifestyle because they're pushing drugs on the youth, horrific music on the youth, they're pushing vanity, materialism, excessive luxury, plastic surgery, they're pushing things that destroy the utter soul of a person and warp their mind. They push prescription drugs, they push credit card debt, they push things constantly, never stopping, okay? They never stop. And this is why we ourselves have to be effective in how we push. And we can't be lazy. I mean, it's like the men have to do something. They have to create things on other platforms. And they have to really organize themselves and be leaders. The young men in their 20s, it's time for them to grow up and it's time for them to lead. It's no more hiding behind fake profiles, not wanting to get involved. It's time for people to actually put some skin in the game and to lead by example and contribute in some way, some skill, some after-school program, write a book, create a magazine, start a newspaper, start a email list, something, okay? And we have to be consistent about it. We have to push. And we ourselves have to lead by example. If we can go back to having women, having children, taking care of their kids, being proud to guard their children from the constant brainwashing that affects them in America, from the television, from billboards, from advertisements, from their schools, from the other students, from apps, you name it. There's so much we have to watch out for. It's like our kids are walking through the jungle and there's, poisonous frogs, poisonous snakes, scorpions. There's just all kinds of, tests and trials for them. We have to be their guardians. We mothers have to be vigilant guardians, and we have to not get tired, and we have to keep pressing forward, and we have to sustain our man through good food, proper sleep. We have to do it, you know? Sacrifices must be made to help the next generation, because the next generation is going to look at us and ask us what we did to save them, and we'll be held accountable for what we didn't do. So think about it. You know, the very potent points that can be made against the secularists, which will destroy their philosophy and expose them, they don't allow to be said. They'll water down the Dawah scene, they'll jail who they can, and these liberal Muslims call everyone else an extremist. They worship academia. They think it's totally fine to go $70,000 in debt to Wells Fargo. They don't offer any respect towards an agricultural, agrarian lifestyle. They mock kebab shops. You know, they mock the laundromat owner. They worship titles. So if you see liberalism creeping in, everybody has to find a way to create a solution for that, and to be someone who can lead by example. And there's so many businesses you can start, and there's so many things you can do without. There's so much we can do if we study and we learn and we push knowledge out consistently. We have to do it. No more being soft, sloth, idle-like. Whatever you have the skill to do, you should do it. You should do it. And learn how to use your skill to help the Muslims for money or for free. There's ways you can make it the perfect balance, right? But we have to do our best. And you have to tell your content creators to go to BitChute, to go to these other apps. And if you start seeing a lot of these very liberal Muslims who are changing things, reinterpreting things, they are promoting feminine men and highly aggressive masculine men, in terms of, like, they're promoting a negative vision of masculinity, and if then they're turning around and promoting hyper career driven women, you have to watch out for that, because they're letting in the door to abortion, to kids being in daycares all the time. They're not really saying open Islamic daycares or let's do this. They're saying hand your kid over to the government and you go and chase that money. You know, I'm not saying everyone has to be a minimalist. I am a minimalist. But what I am saying is that we have to constantly guard ourselves from covetousness, from desiring too much materialism, okay? And we have to check our intentions. But we have to get off the legacy apps. You can use those apps to move your audience to somewhere else. But the YouTube algorithm is fake. It's engineered. They'll tell you what you get to see. They won't even notify you sometimes of what you subscribe to. TikTok, Twitter, all of it. And Twitter is something that allows some of the most degenerate, disgusting things your eyes can see. But they won't allow you to say certain words around gender or how to protect kids from gender stuff. They won't let you. So you have to see the writing on the wall. They're going to come for your kids. And if you don't have a plan how to survive them, if they try to cancel you and deplatform you and debank you, you're going to struggle. Because they'll ban you from Airbnb. They'll ban you from payment processing. They will try to put as many economic sanctions on you as possible until you reject your religion and let them take your kids away in terms of their spiritual faith and compass. So, more Muslim sisters having after-school tea parties with the children to educate them. More and more mothers visiting the classroom of their kids and seeing what's going on. more fathers focusing on masculinity with their boys and not being afraid. The most disgusting thing is when you see very soft Muslim men afraid to go to the shooting range and learn from a teacher. The frailty of some Muslim men is like Buddhistic, and it's actually quite disgusting. I'm not saying you have to be this stone cold person, but we need men to protect us women. And if the men are soft and bending to feminine men because they want money and materialism and job worship, we have a problem. And if we have liberal Muslim women getting on their knees to feminine men because they want to have a nice car, they don't want to lose their office job, they don't want to have trouble at their university, so they'll sacrifice their religion so they can get what they want, we're going to have a huge problem. Huge problem. So in order for us to speak the truth, to be authentic, we have to create our own parallel culture, and we have to have public conversations with people, and we have to not get tired of doing what we can to protect our faith, our families, and the souls of future generations, because their malice and evil is rising. It's not fading. Who knows? Something could happen. You could get a new CEO in these companies. You never know what Allah will do for us. But we do have to do some of the work. We cannot just sit on our hands and say, Allah's going to take care of it. We have to do something and understand the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we still have to put our foot forward. So I highly encourage you to push your favorite dawah people to expand alt tech. Don't listen to the liberals who say this app is this and oh, you're that. And I would highly encourage you to, how do I put this in a nice way? Be cautious of how much you're around those very twisted liberal Muslims, because they're still our fellows. But if they refuse to acknowledge the dangers of liberalism, then you know that they haven't really understood what they're asking you to adopt. And to think that liberals are the friends of Muslims, simply because for now they haven't come and put your kid on some medications to change when they go through puberty or something, is problematic. And some of these liberal Muslims appear to care more about appeasement than about fearing Allah. So I'd argue, study, organize yourself, become self-reliant, as I did the stream this morning. Be uncancelable. Okay? You have to. This is the challenge of our generation. Because leftists only win through censorship. This is why since 2016, their banning campaigns, their censorship, has become a weapon. Extreme weapon. Okay? And they have a lot of power. There's no doubt about it. So you have to be smart and wise and know how to survive their oppression. And if you get comfortable and complacent, they'll run roughshod over you. And before you know it, you'll be asking yourself, how did we get here in this part of our society? Well, we didn't take up the charge. And as an American Muslim, I'm telling you, in your land, you should pass laws. You should get, less dependent upon imports from the West as possible. You have to protect your people, your country, from what California births. Okay? You have to see the writing on the wall. So don't listen to these feminist liberal Muslim women who say, who are these women who need saving from feminism? Who are these ones? Oh, most Muslim women don't live in the West, so the West problems are the West problems. It's a very incorrect view. You should learn about what's destroying the American empire so it doesn't happen in yours. Okay, if you see something happening in another land, you study it, you analyze it, and then you find out how you can prevent that same plague from affecting your land. And because of the internet, it's way more easier for them to brainwash your own child against you, your own wife against you. I mean, for me, when I hear these liberal Muslim women, justifying abortion, it's quite scary, because they've taken on the anti-human, satanic consciousness of the feminist secular atheists. And they see it as empowering to crush the soul of an innocent human being, the gift that Allah gave them of fertility. They enjoy to crush it just as much as the atheists. Imagine a Muslim brother coming home, his mean wife didn't let him remarry and get a second or third or fourth wife, and then she tells him, "Oh, I wanted to finish college, so I aborted our baby." Imagine what that brother would feel. And then, she has a milkshake who tells her it's totally okay. That's what we're going to be dealing with. That's what we're going to be dealing with, because these people, they're different on their spiritual level. So expand so you can maintain your free speech. Have Subscribestar as well as Patreon, because Subscribestar doesn't deplatform people like Patreon and PayPal. PayPal and Patreon are political organizations who will allow pornography for their website, but they won't allow you, if you get on the naughty list of the liberals, to be on their platform. And they have done this with quite a few content creators. So don't think you're safe on Patreon. You have to be smart. Get a P.O. box. Have people send physical cash. You have to have them send you, an ounce of silver. Who knows? A cool book. A coffee cup. Who knows? Whatever gifts they want to give you that can help you. You have to create ways to survive outside of the liberal oppression, because they're only going to get smarter. They're only going to get more vindictive, more mean, more insane, and they hate what we love. They're disgusted by us. They don't like modesty. They don't like masculinity. They don't like gender roles. They don't like large families. You have to be wise. You have to be wise, and you can't sit around and be idle. You have to already have the parallel infrastructure culture set up and ready to go, so that when there's an exodus from those apps, you can, leave there. And why would you want to spend time on Twitter, which is highly filtered content? Twitter is a platform that doesn't apply its rules equally. Join Getter. Join better apps. That's what you should do. And how do I put it? You have to be willing to not always care about followers. You have to say, okay, I only got 10 followers, 15. You're still getting the message out, and you're still setting up the backup. So think about what I said. It's only a matter of time. Things could turn, and alhamdulillah, we survive it. But the way things are going in America, with how they silence you if you talk about biology, and you don't accept their strange theories that they have, we can't even say them, they're going to make it to where when they get in political power, they're going to ruin our lives. The sanctions they put on Russia, they'll put on any country that disobeys them. Once these popular leftists get into power, they're trained in the liberal universities, okay? They're not producing these great people. In science and stuff, yeah. But in the social field is what I'm talking about, okay? Math is math. I'm talking about the liberal arts majors, okay? That's what you gotta watch out for. So, protect your family, create a parallel economy, join the exchange of ideas, don't live in fear, be proactive, and protect our faith, our people, our families, and Allah's laws. Be steadfast.